Hello everyone, my name is Samira Gonzalez and this is my week 4 leadership concept crisis scenario presentation for MPA 520 Leadership and Management. The following presentation will examine leadership concepts at various stages during a crisis in a nonprofit environment. The crisis scenario is as follows. There is a magnitude 5.5 earthquake that struck about 14 miles east of downtown Los Angeles at 9:48 a.m. and was felt across Southern California. The incident triggered a shake alert, warning people to drop and seek safety. The organization is conducting its monthly commission meeting on the 10th floor at the time of the earthquake. There is damage to the building and parking structure. As a single leader involved in a crisis scenario such as an earthquake, their impact to the organization can be as part of the office floor. During this time, the leaders was in the office during the time of the earthquake. The second is part of the evacuation point. Each leader is part of the organization evacuation team. And the third is the business. Each leader would be addressing their staff and providing feedback and follow-up as the crises increase or decrease, just mainly providing the status. The crisis information or preliminary crisis information is as follows. There are approximately 115 employees that are scheduled to be on the 10th floor, along with 10 clients. It's 5 commissioners, 2 public speakers, and 3 providers. The aftermath is expected to be about 6 months to 1 year because the building has sustained cracks. There are light fixtures that have fallen. The connectivity between the nonprofit and providers has been lost, and just the overall parking structure has damage. The services that are impacted as the day-to-day operations due to connectivity between the nonprofit and providers, the client services aspect, as well as finance. The timelines associated with this particular scenario are: 1 would be considered to be an employee or a civilian, since the employees are in office. And I thought of this as being a 3-second interval. The second interval will be a 3-minute interval where the leader is being or gathering information for the members or staff or whomever is on the 10th floor. The third interval will be 3 hours, and at that time they are part of the rescue and evacuation team, ensuring that the staff can be evacuated or attending to any injuries that may have occurred. And the third interval is the 3-day interval, and this is where the leader will be communicating and providing updates to their overall staff. My first interval is the 3-second mark. The leadership style would be operational leadership, and the competency-based leadership. At this time, during the 3-second leadership, you're assessing the environment, you're developing traits and skills to handle the crisis that is around you. You're redefining, modifying your style to the different situations that may have arise. You're managing stress and conflicts that are around you. For example, injury, the mental being of those who has just experienced the earthquake. I was able to find two journals. The first journal title is called Planning and Assessment Approach Towards Disaster Resistance, and it was based on a hospital situation. It says that the systematic literacy review, and the article shows the critical role that frontline staff has or have during a disaster, and the importance of being proactive when monitoring and determining a situation during a disaster. The second article is entitled Teaching Nursing Teamwork, and basically what it focuses in on is the necessity of understanding the different knowledge base and skills and attitude associated with nurses during a crisis situation. I thought that these two articles were important to the 3-second mark because of the fact that we are as a leader, you're looking to assess a situation. You're gauging on what skill sets will be important depending upon what you're faced with. My second interval is the 3-minute mark, and in this interval, you will need to be a directive or show directive leadership. You would also need to be a strategic leader. During this time, you need to be quick in processing information, rapidly determining what matters, and making decisions with conviction. And the two articles I found was one, it was the framework of examining leadership. And in this article, it talked about the unique influence leadership has on processes and the importance of how these processes impact the critical actions that an organization and or employee would follow during a crisis. The second article I found was called Mitigation Emergence as Major Strategies for Reducing Loss Caused by Natural Disasters. And this article was based off of the United Nations and their ability to problem solve and handle critical situations by being strategic in their planning. I felt that these two articles was really important to the 3-minute mark from a directive leadership style as well as a strategic leadership style, because during these processes you are in the process of trying to make valid decisions, and if you understand the strategic plan or goals or tactics that should be used during a crisis such as this, I felt that these articles help illustrate that. My third interval is the 3-hour mark. At this time, you will need to be a show situational leadership. You would also need to do networking. And in this particular situation, what you're doing is you're gathering information. You're trying to gain as much information as possible. The aftershocks of the earthquake seems to be reducing, and you need to know if it's okay to have people evacuate or staff evacuate the building. So you're coordinating and you're communicating the efficiencies of tasks. My first article for this is called How Public Reacts to Situational and Renewal Organization Response Across Crisis. And basically what it talked about is the importance of how critical crisis communication and social media is really important. During the times such as these, we have the internet, we have our cell phones, and being able to have up-to-date information if the network is up and running is really, really important. The second article is called The Effects of Social Media and the Dynamics of Resilience During a Disaster. And in this article, it shows how social media supports citizens in their search for reliable information. So as I mentioned before, the leader is looking to find or gauge information in order to communicate that down to their staff. I thought that these two articles were really great to support this third interval. My fourth interval is the day 3 mark, and during this time, one would need to be an authentic leader, and one would need to be a charismatic leader. During this time, as a leader, what you're doing is you're taking ownership of the crisis, even though it's out of your control, but you're aligning goals for staff. You're being and thinking from an ethical standpoint, and you're being as transparent as you can with communication. I found 2 articles in supporting this. The first article is called "The Leadership in Time of Uncertainty," and this article examines how one can demonstrate the uncertainties that can alter the perception behind a leader, and how their behaviors of leadership is important during a crisis. So basically, it's addressing how, if one is seen as being authentic, then the communication and information that's being provided during a time of crisis is taken seriously, or the leader is believed. And the second article I chose was, and it's an article of quality of publication that impacts the different levels analysis, incorporating and illustrating the importance of transformational as well as charismatic leadership. And in this article, it talks about the impacts and factors when controlling the different levels of analysis, resulting in revealing an increase of complexity during a crisis. So basically, because of the complexity of a particular crisis, such as an earthquake, especially if there's damage or there are individuals who are injured, being a transformational as well as a charismatic leader, and how you deliver the information seems to go over well in times of crisis. This concludes my presentation. Thanks for watching.